All right, 6 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. One of the things that I think is something I'm most proud of by doing this radio show is that we give information. And when there's information that might help a young person, or not even, you don't even have to be young, but just somebody who has wanted forever to be a successful writer or a successful illustrator, it's always an honor to be able to talk to the people who have participated in the contest called the Writers and Illustrators of the Future contest. They put out, Galaxy Press puts out this amazing book. It's a, what do you call it when there's more than one story, Robin? A compilation? No.
Yes.
Is that right? Is that the right word?
I don't know. That's the word I would use, but I don't know what they would use.
And I have the picture of the 34th volume on the podcast right now. This is April 10th, so the event is coming up real soon, isn't it?
The event happened
it's already done?
last Sunday, but today is the official release book of Volume 34.
So the award ceremony is already history, right?
Yes, last Sunday, yes.
So now we can ask about that. Darci Stone is on. Darci is an author and one of the winners, right, of the...
She's the grand prize winner.
Grand prize winner. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Of the L. Ron Hubbard Writers and Illustrators of the Future Awards, Volume 34. So her story is in this book. And is it Kyna? Kyna Tech is an artist, one of the illustrators who also won. Is she the grand prize winner for that?
Yeah, he's the grand prize winner.
I'm sorry. All right, let's find out about this. And I have to tell you, Darci and Kyna, there might be an echo between the two of you, so I'll have to kind of go back and forth. Who is on? How do I know who's on which one?
Darci is on the 2828 number, and Kyna is on the 9622
number. So Darci, let me say hello to you first. Good morning, Darci.
Good morning.
Thank you for being on the show. Let me see if I can do this without an echo. You guys are going to have to tell me if there's an echo. Kyna, are you there?
Hi, I'm here.
Do you guys have an echo when I do that, or is it okay?
I'm okay.
Yeah?
I think I'm okay.
Okay, good. Then I can keep you both up at the same time. Well, thank you for doing this. So did you, Kyna, did you illustrate Darci's story, or is it two separate stories?
No, I didn't illustrate Darci's story. I illustrated one of the other winners in the book.
Oh, okay. So how was the event? How was the award ceremony? How did that go?
The award ceremony was amazing. It's the kind of like the fanciest, biggest thing I've ever been part of.
Oh, that's fun. So where are you right now?
I'm still in Los Angeles. I'm leaving today, though, to go back to Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, that's where you live, Phoenix. And Darci, where are you?
I'm in my hotel in Hollywood.
Oh, my gosh.
I will be flying back to Utah.
Oh, you're from Utah. Oh, my gosh. And was this the first time for either of you in L.A.?
I've been to L.A. before, but not the Hollywood area.
Ah, okay. Kyna?
It wasn't the first time for me either. Phoenix is pretty close. It's not a bad drive to get over here.
So tell me about the career boost. I'll start with you, Darci. How does this change your everything you've been working for? Does this help catapult it to the next level?
Yeah, in order to enter the contest, you have to not already be a published author. And so all of us are budding new writers and artists. And so this will really help to jumpstart my career now that I can get my name out there, and it also motivates me to keep writing.
Now, and did the genre of the contest, in other words, science fiction and fantasy, did the fact that you had to write to that genre change you, or had you already been writing that genre?
That was already the genre I was the most interested in.
Is that right? And is it science fiction part of it, or the fantasy, or do they kind of meld together in your mind?
The story that I wrote was hard science fiction, but a lot of the other entries in this year's anthology were fantasy.
That's the word I was looking for, anthology.
And you're pretty amazing, Darci, because you're not only artistic in that way, but you also have your background in physics, and that's like two separate entities.
Yes, it was fun for me to get to use both halves of my brain.
Oh,
my
wow.
Science and math brain, and then my creative, artistic brain.
And maybe that's why science fiction is so able to, there's a better word here, but there's so able to somewhat predict the future is when people use both sides of their brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kyna, how did this change your career choice, as far as career path, I should say?
Well, I mean, before I entered this contest and I knew I was coming here, I was just an artist and I didn't really know if I was going to be successful or, how I'm going to be successful. And being part of this event, because not only do we get to go to the awards ceremony, we have a week-long workshop before that we have already working artists imparting all sorts of business information to us. So it's a huge confidence boost for me to know, what my next steps will be.
Did either of you get to spend time with people who've done this for a while? I don't know, well-known names in either the world of illustration or the world of writing?
I know for the writers, we got to meet with some really big authors like Brandon Sanderson and Larry Niven, and so it was an exciting week.
Are you a big reader, Kyna?
I do some reading, but I'm more of an audiobook guy, and because it's easier to have that going while I paint.
Oh yeah, absolutely makes sense. So was it easy for you to visualize what you needed to in order to create the illustration you did?
Yeah, the story I illustrated was for Erin Cairns, and her story was amazing. The way she described her characters and the way the story flowed was just perfect for the kind of art that I create.
Nice.
And Kyna, you have a very interesting history. You were born in a refugee camp in Thailand.
Wow.
Yeah, I was born in a refugee camp in Thailand. My family, they're originally from Cambodia, and they kind of had to escape some not so great situations from the Khmer Rouge, and they crossed over the border to Thailand, and that's where I was born.
And then you and your family made your way to the United States.
Yeah, actually, we came to the United States when I was 1 year old, so I don't really remember a lot of that experience over there, but yeah, I have an older brother, and of course my parents, they lived through some pretty amazing experiences.
And did upon hearing those experiences, is that what prompted you to be an artist, so you could share some of their experiences and you could have an outlet?
I mean, maybe in some way. I never really thought about it that way, but I think in some way I'm somehow, sharing those experiences that, I got from my parents and the stories they've told me. I think that somehow does come through my art in many ways.
Do either of you know any of the other competitors in the contest? Maybe obviously you know some that were in the same contest as you, but did you know anybody in the past?
My husband, Eric James Stone, actually won in a previous year.
Oh, wow.
So that's how I knew about the contest.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow. So is there competition in the family?
Yes. It's become a joke between us that I got a first place trophy and he only got second place. So mine is bigger.
Oh no! Don't let that tear you apart.
It must have been very difficult for him to try to keep hands off on your writings, because people, when they love each other, they like to help and share. But you had to do this by yourself.
Yeah, he was very good about being supportive. He is a more experienced writer than I am. And so he was very good about giving feedback in a productive, encouraging way. But the story itself was written by me and was my idea. So
what had you entered before?
This was the first story I've ever written, actually. So.
Oh no!
No, I had not entered before.
Oh no! And so, did you get feedback? Well, obviously, when you have a husband who can be somewhat of a bouncing board, I guess, is somebody who knows the business, that is helpful. But I know from talking to other entrants to this contest that the judges themselves become mentors, don't they? For both the illustrators and the writers.
Yeah, while we were out here, they offered a lot of great advice, and we've networked so that we can keep in touch in the future. So I think that'll be really good.
Did that happen for you as well, Kyna? Did you get some feedback from anybody in your personal life, or maybe a teacher or a coach or something?
Yeah, before the contest, I was working with a mentor who's already working in the fantasy illustration genre, and then during this whole workshop week, I've met so many working artists and also just the other artists that got invited here. They're all amazing, and I'm so happy to meet them, and I'm looking forward to keeping in touch with them to see where we all go.
And what is your most favorite medium, Kyna?
I work digitally, so I use computers to do my painting, and I use a software. I use Adobe Photoshop as a software.
And does your love of video games, is that what kind of sort of jump-started your love in the medium of digital?
Yeah, definitely. Growing up a kid playing video games and reading comic books and, just kind of always living in those kind of fantasy imagination lands, that's kind of what inspires me to keep doing the things that I'm doing.
Oh, wow. I just went to your website. I'm looking at some of the photographs. I'm going to put some on the podcast that we're doing. Wow, these are all really amazing. Do you have models that pose for these things? How do you put a knife through somebody's heart? Look at that.
Oh, my God. There you go.
Oh, my God. That girl's full of blood.
Of course. But yeah, I take photo reference. I get friends to help me pose so I can figure out the way things are supposed to look, and I kind of piece it all together and paint it and try and make it look like a cohesive image.
I love your choice of colors. That is really brave of you, because that way you're going outside of the realm of everything that we've learned growing up as children.
Right, yeah. I always try and aim to, go for some realism, but also add an element that, makes it look a little bit magical, a little bit different than you would actually see it.
And Darci, how did you, when you were inspired to write this very, very first story, what kind of revelation did you have that you have this grand idea?
Yeah, for me, stories start as just a cool idea. And then from there, I kind of build characters and the plot around it. So my idea was a science idea that involved speculative biology, and then I built the rest of the story from there.
Yeah, we should really ask you about the story. So what do you mean speculative biology? What does that mean?
So in the story, when a strange new parasite threatens humanity's future, a young Vietnamese woman must delve into our past in search of a cure before she loses the people she loves most. So it's a medical thriller with a scientist that is trying to find a cure both for the world in general and then also for the people she loves.
Oh my gosh. Do you have a background in biology or in medicine?
Not biology. I have taught physics and chemistry, but I tried when I wrote the story to imitate the style of Michael Crichton, who's one of my favorite authors.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And when you were writing the story, did you have in mind how many words you're supposed to have in this for the contest, or do they give you carte blanche?
Oh yeah, is that an issue?
Typically, a short story is less than 7,000 words, but the contest will let you go up to 17,000. And my story was one of the longest ones in the anthology, so I was just barely coming in under the cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to hear how it was, like when you first arrived in Hollywood, and you were. Did they pick you up at the airport? I mean, did you guys party at night, or was it all like a big learning experience? Kyna, you want to take this one?
Oh, sure. Yeah, they did take us to the airport. They've taken care of us all week. They gave us schedules, kind of told us where to go, and yeah, at night, earlier in the week, it was just kind of like illustrators were doing their own group thing, and then writers were starting to do their own group thing, but as the week went along, we all started to mingle, and we all started to just hang out and, just unwind from the day, because they kept our days pretty busy and stressful.
So did you have to create some artwork while you were there?
I did, yeah. They gave us a story that we read before we got down here, and while we were down here, they wanted us to kind of go through the process of creating an illustration here during the week, and they kind of gave us feedback and tips on how to build the illustration as we went along. Really?
And is that quicker than you normally would work? Or did you have to work faster because of that?
Definitely. It's definitely faster, especially for me. I work a little slower than the other artists I was with, so having to cram it in, or we'd get like an hour maybe during the day or two, right. And then, after that day's over, we'd all be hanging out in the hotel lobby at night trying to get as much done as we could.
Oh, really? And did you learn from the other artists? And did they learn from you, do you think?
I don't know if they learned from me, but I definitely learned from them. I mean, everybody has such different technique, and it was fun and interesting to just kind of ask people and pick their brains and see see what the process is like, because everyone's so different and unique.
So if you're using Adobe Photoshop, okay, help me out. We're kind of old. So,
Yeah.
I mean, did you have to bring your computer? Obviously, you would need to, right?
For me, yeah, I have a laptop that I can draw on, that with like one of those pens, you know. Some of the other artists did their entire illustration in pencil. So, like I said, everyone's got a different technique.
Oh my gosh, okay. And I'm guessing you came from the world of traditional art, right? That must be part of your past.
Yeah, when I was in college, they trained on traditional art. I mostly worked in charcoal. I did a little watercolor and oil, but it was all just the basis to get fundamentals to be able to work in digital. Yeah,
your digital work is beautiful, by the way. It's just so nice. And you know what Robin was saying about the choice of colors? I only put one picture up there. It's let's see, it's a girl with a knife and there's some hands coming out of a book. It's that one. But I like the idea that there's kind of a color theme, if that makes sense.
Yeah, color is very important. It sets the mood. It makes the viewer think of things that they wouldn't even really think about directly. It's just all there to help sell the image and create the atmosphere that you're trying to tell in the story.
Did either of you get instruction, guidance, I guess is the best word, regarding the business that you're in now, whether as an illustrator or as an author? You know, how you work a deal, who do you say yes and no to? I would imagine that now that you've won this, you're going to have people crawling out of the woodwork, and maybe they're not all the best publishers, or I don't even know who would come to you. Have you had that happen yet, or is this still too soon?
It hasn't started yet, but I know for the writers, we did spend a lot of time talking about publishing and agents, and they taught us the do's and do nots, so I feel like I'm a lot more prepared than I was before.
Okay, so when they come knocking on your door and he says, hey, I'm a publisher, I'd like to publish your story, and you find out it's the guy down the road with the printer.
Yes, we run the other way.
And did you get similar advice, Kyna?
Yeah, it's a little different for artists because there's so many avenues for that, our art can be used. We don't only just do illustrations for books. We could do, stuff for video games or just board games. So we did get a lot of business advice this week from the people running the workshop, and then also the other guest artists that were here who are already working in the industry. I got a chance to sit down and talk to them and just kind of ask them what they're doing, get some advice. They imparted a lot of great knowledge about the business to us during this week.
And Darci, how did you find out the illustrator doing the illustration for your story? How did you know which illustrator was selected?
So I knew the name of the illustrator in advance, but it wasn't until the actual workshop that we had a day that we go into a room and all of the illustrators were displaying their art pieces, but we weren't told which art piece was the one for our story. So it was really fun to walk around the room and try to find the one that matched our book. And when I saw the one that was mine, I knew it was mine because it was medical. And so when I saw a woman wearing a lab coat, I knew it had to be my picture.
Oh, that had to be extremely exciting for you.
How do I find your picture of you? I mean, Darci, I'm looking online and I'm getting a bunch of wristwatches. There must be a wristwatch called the Darci Stone wristwatch.
If you go to the Darci.com, it at least has a photo of me. I need to flesh out my website. I just barely started a new one now that I'm hoping to take off as an author.
Okay, the Darci.com took me to Facebook. That's your page, I guess, right?
Yeah, for now.
Oh, I see it. Okay, and you got the Writers of the Future picture on your banner there. Oh, look at you. Okay. I'm going to put your picture in here so we see who you look like.
And Kyna, do you go by the philosophy that as long as a person is very, very good at art, that you can pitch yourself from anywhere in the country, or do you feel you have to go to a larger avenue like New York or Los Angeles?
Oh no! With the internet nowadays, you can work for one of those companies in Los Angeles or New York and be in your hometown in Ohio or Phoenix. Sometimes it's easier to make those connections if you're located in those areas, but as long as your work stands out and you know who to talk to and you can network, you can find work anywhere.
Oh, that has to be comforting for you and your family.
Yeah. And
Yeah, definitely is.
And the city you're in right now, I mean, that is obviously, has been traditionally, I should say, the place you needed to be if you wanted to make it in show business. But I don't know that there was a place to make it as an illustrator. I guess maybe New York, I don't know. And as a writer, it seems like writers live here in Florida, in Key West, right?
Yeah, we do.
We have in the most remote places, writers. Right here, we had what was her name? Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings.
Yes, right here.
And we're in a very rural area of Florida, so. And 100 years ago, whatever it was, 60 years ago, 80 years ago, whatever, she lived here. So yeah. So I don't know. It's an interesting career path. Is technology changing things for either of you? Obviously, the art has changed as far as how you create it. But I mean, as far as distributing books, are more people reading the e-versions of books?
Yeah, e-books and audiobooks are becoming very popular. And a lot more people are self-publishing, which kind of changes the market. So I think the future, it's going to be a different model than it has been in the past.
So do you both feel that because of the self-publishing aspect, that more of the larger publishing houses will pay attention to the self-published authors and self-published illustrators?
They did recommend to us to really try to go the traditional route if you want to get your name out there. But I do think that with more and more authors successfully self-publishing, they will have to start to take that seriously.
And Kyna, what other types of art do you have in your portfolio, and where do you wish to be like in 6 months?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm in my portfolio now. I just have illustration work. I want to just show the kind of work that I want to get in the future. So I don't want to send mixed messages by having all sorts of different artwork, but I like working in like fantasy and science fiction. Some of the other stuff that I've done is more for like urban fantasy stories. And in 6 months, hopefully I'm in my home painting for somebody and just having a great time doing it.
Thank you both for being on the air with us. For those who are listening who are writers and/or illustrators, I would highly recommend that you consider the Writers and Futures of what is it called again? Writers and Illustrators of the Future, right?
Yes.
The website is writersofthefuture.com. The one big thing that we didn't mention is it's free. It's free,
exactly,
right? And if you win, you make a little money, right? And but better than that is you get a big boost to your career. I think it's outstanding.
And they take submissions every month, because then they break down the winners into every quarter, so everybody has a chance to enter.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to both of you. Kyna, I finally found your picture on your website. Tell us what your website is. I'm not on it right now. What is your website?
It's www.kyteki.com.
Okay. And Darci, again, what is yours?
The Darci, TheDarci.com.
TheDarci.com, yes, takes you to your Facebook page. Darci Stone, Kyna Tech, good luck with your futures. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump skipping a trip to South America, the White House says, to oversee the response to a chemical attack on civilians in Syria.
Monitors of the war in Syria say government forces are taking precautionary measures at military bases in anticipation of a possible U.S. strike. Russia says there's no evidence of a chemical attack and has warned the West against hurrying to respond.